Party people, it's your boy Precise, back with another episode of the How To series. I have an extra special guest for you today, Bruce Whinfrey, and he's an auto broker, and we're going to talk about the life and times, man. So Bruce, how long have you been an auto dealer?
I've been an auto dealer for approximately 6 years. I say a good 6 years. Since 2016.
Okay. So obviously that wasn't like the childhood dream or anything.
It wasn't a childhood dream, but I love vehicles, man. I've been working on cars since I was 15 years old.
Right, you rode over here on a motorcycle.
Yeah, well, I rode on a motorcycle because we now selling motorcycles.
We
now offer motorcycles. We got a nice base, a nice demand for motorcycles. I just purchased a nice cruiser. It's a 1500, and like a lot of the inventory that we have, we like to put a few miles on it to make sure it's pretty solid before we decide to sell it, you know?
So in 2017, what made you decide to go into buying and selling cars?
What made me decide is I was actually working at a new car dealership. It's a Volkswagen and Audi dealership in Marietta. And I was able to help people, but I wasn't able to help people the way that I wanted to. So I feel like if I was to become a dealer, I could cut out a lot of the foolishness that comes with new car dealerships. Just to be realistic.
Foolishness, like what? Like tell the audience.
When I say foolishness, in any deal, when there's so many people that have to get paid and expecting to receive some type of profit from the deal, it makes things not so good for the buyer. So with me being a broker, things are a little more private, a little more direct. Therefore, we're able to pass the savings on to our clients. You know, we like to purchase wholesale and sell wholesale.
So you're talking about them hidden dealer fees?
Yeah, it's a lot of fees. You know, you got this big dealership. You can imagine it's just more overhead. You know, however you look at it.
Can you break down like some of the ways they hide the fees in there?
Well, I wouldn't say they hide fees, but they have if they got a $2 million inventory. Their electric bill is a whole lot higher than mine in my office. You know, my office is approximately about 400 square feet. You know, so with that being said, it's just a little more direct. Everybody likes wholesale. Everybody's always purchasing retail, but we all know wholesale is a great option.
Right. So what was the process in being able to get your dealer's license and being able to set up a dealership? If you could just run through the process real quick. Okay,
the process is, it can be drawn out. For the most part, you have to purchase, you have to have a place that's zoned to be a broker. You have to have that place for a few months, paperwork, a lot of insurance and bonds and things of that caliber. And you have to get approved. You have to get approved by the board to actually be a dealer. At that point, you have to have funds to actually buy vehicles as well, you know?
Right, that's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
But what about the process? I mean, I'm familiar. I had a dealer's license a long time ago. Where you have to you still have to like take a test. And
you have to take a class. You got to go and take a
go into detail of that process.
So the process consists of you have to take a class. It's a seminar which goes over all of the laws and, you know, what you should and shouldn't be doing as a dealer. A lot of people are familiar with being private sellers, but you have a lot of classes and continuing education that you have to take place, that takes place on a yearly basis as well. So it pretty much consists of you getting your office, taking the classes that are required, and submitting information, you know, just like with any business.
And tell the viewers the reason why you have to get your office, because you have to have places to put the cars, right?
You got to have somewhere to put the cars, and you have to be able to be found, you know? You can't be a hidden business. You know, I have to have a place of business that's listed on Google or any other directory in the instance that anyone needs to get in touch with me, you know? It's a lot of unsafe practices that's going on, and if my business is a physical location, I can always be found.
So, but you can't have like an office in WeWorks or a workspace. It has to be an office.
It has to be zoned. Yeah, it has to be zoned for auto brokers, and that's very limited space. So you can't just do this out of your house or in any available office space. It has to be zoned for auto broker. and you also have to have space for your vehicles as well.
Right. So walk us through the process of purchasing your first car from the auction. Like, you go to Manheim or Red Top?
I go to Manheim, Odessa, Coparts. I'm connected with maybe 400 different auctions all over the country.
Name all the auctions that are in the proximity of like Georgia.
Okay. Well, the auction that I do the most would be Manheim.
Okay.
Manheim and Odessa. Manheim, they're number one.
Okay.
You know, they have 300 some odd locations all over the country, right?
Right.
So we work with Manheim. We actually buy vehicles from private owners as well.
Okay.
You know.
What was the process of buying your first car from Manheim?
The process consists of pretty much come to the conclusion if you want to go through the auction process or if you want to buy directly from a dealer. Me personally, my first vehicle was directly from another dealer.
But through Manheim?
Through Manheim.
How does that work?
You have the option of physically viewing the car a lot of times a day or two before it's actually auctioned off. Or you would just go by the information that's online that gives you the breakdown of the vehicles. So you would either analyze the information or both. You'd analyze the information online and then go and physically inspect the vehicle a few days before the auction. Or, like what we do a lot of times because we purchase in other states, we just make sure that we don't get cars that are as is and with warranties.
Right. So, I mean, I still got my login to Manheim.
Yeah.
Kind of explain how it works. I mean, I'll talk about it a little bit, and then you kind of fill in the blanks.
Oh, that's fine. That's
So
fine.
you log into Manheim, and you could pull up cars in any state.
Yes, sir.
Through Manheim. You could do the search by the type of car or the location. Normally, I do the search. I'm normally looking for a specific car. Right. When you pull it up, it gives you the mileage. Some cars say as if. Some cars are green lit, right?
Green light?
Yeah. And then they have some pictures, some are whack. Most of the pictures are like kind of whack. Sometimes they give you the close up of the scratches or the marks and the dents in the car. Then it has a score. Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
Then it has a score. And I normally look at the score a lot. I mean, what about you?
We do as well. That's actually the condition report.
Right.
And it gives it a score. And that's based on the structural damage, the overall condition of the vehicle. So at one time, the images were kind of crappy, but they've kind of stepped it up. Quality control came through and made a big difference. So now the images are pretty sharp. A lot of times you can zoom in. They usually have maybe 30, 40 images in regards to. Again, we try to make sure that we don't look at vehicles that are as is.
Right.
And we always try to incorporate some type of warranty as a safety net due to the fact that a lot of times we purchase cars that we're not able to see.
Right.
Due to them being in another state.
Now how does that warranty process work? Manheim gives you the warranty, or you pay extra?
Well, you actually, if the vehicle's not as is, it comes with pretty much a default warranty that covers you for maybe 5 to 7 days. You know, any major problems, engine, transmission, anything over a certain price point, problems that may exist. You can also purchase 2 other warranties. It varies on the auction that may cover you for 10, 15, 21 days. Those warranties can be purchased through the auction.
Right. My first, well, not my first BMW, my first BMW at 19 I bought from auction. But I had a 2007 Black 5 Series. I bought through Manheim in New York.
Okay.
Found it online here.
Yeah.
I saw it. I looked through it. It was another dealer selling it. I was looking at the pictures for probably like 4 to 5 days.
Yeah.
I'm zooming in, and it had like a couple of dings on it. I saw the dings, and the most important thing I look in the pictures or the lights on the dashboard.
Definitely. That's right. That's a good idea.
The lights on the dashboard. And so a couple warning lights were up, and I'll Google the warning lights and see how much it costs to fix it. And from that point, determine my next move, my negotiation move, which I did. So what I did is I got in touch with the dealer on the phone, asked him about the car, asked him about the warning lights. And then made him an offer and negotiated based upon that. How does that sound?
The tricky part about it is sometimes the dealers, they don't want to talk to you.
Right.
They feel like the information that they put online is enough. But the cool part about it is, since I say in the past 5 years, they've done a lot to protect the buyers, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if the vehicle doesn't list certain defects that exist, then you can address it with the auction. So if they list that the vehicle has brand new tires and it doesn't have brand new tires,
Mm-hmm.
after you purchase it, you can address the auction about it, all the way down to the images and just overall quality control. They also
So addressing the auction saying, well, this car doesn't have brand new tires.
Correct.
What happens at that point?
they may give you some type of adjustment.
On price?
Yes.
Or
Well, not on price. An adjustment would be an adjustment on the price of the vehicle, which would compensate you for the damage or whatever type of problem existed with
so
the
the
vehicle.
auction could step in and force the dealer to adjust the price.
That's the arbitration process.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah. I mean, that sounds like Carvana.
Yeah.
Carvana does that too, right? So I bought a car recently from the Carvana, and it's funny because the BMW that I own right now, I bought through Manheim from Miami, from a dealer in Miami.
I think you mentioned it to me
Called
some
him,
time ago.
spoke to him on the phone. He was from New York.
Yeah.
So, we chopped it up right away. But the funny thing is, they advertised that it had a backup camera,
And it didn't.
didn't have a backup camera.
So in that situation, and that's where the expertise comes in at.
Right.
Because we all know there are tons of dealers just like anything else, but everybody brings something different to the table.
Right.
My expertise in automotive technology opens up the door for me to be able to inspect the car a little bit more or on a higher level than other dealers. I have a lot of dealers that attempt to purchase the vehicles that I have because I've made better decisions. So in a sense, that's a big determining factor when it comes to dealers. How are they evaluating their cars?
What tools are you using to evaluate the vehicles?
Well, we physically, if the vehicles are actually in any of the states where we have representatives, we physically go and inspect the cars. A lot of times, according to the auction, we scan the car for codes, things of that caliber.
What kind of equipment you use?
Well, you have like OBD2 scanners.
Okay.
It's your typical scanner that you can get from the parts store, and it will show you the codes. Now, the thing about it is, a person can clear the codes from a vehicle,
Right.
and the problem still exists.
I've cleared codes.
And what happens is the system will not be ready.
Right.
So when you scan it,
It'll say
it'll
like
show
unavailable or something
system
like that.
not ready. Certain systems have not been complete. But again, you still have to know how to read the scanner.
Right.
And
So
the
if
typical
it
consumer is not
says
good at that.
what do you do?
They
That's
list
the-
that. They would list different systems incomplete, which would probably be in yellow, right? So if you purchase a vehicle, you purchase a vehicle from the auction. As soon as you leave out of the gates, picking the vehicle up, check engine light comes on. Engine starts running weird. Air conditioner stops working. At that point, you can make the auction that you purchased the vehicle from aware that these different problems exist. If the problem is within a certain price point, they'll give you an adjustment, or you can return the vehicle. Now, that option doesn't exist on an as-is vehicle.
Okay.
And we do purchase as-is vehicles, only if we're able to inspect the vehicles first.
So you'll purchase an as if vehicle if you could go in and inspect it, run it through the scanner.
That's the only
and
way.
no codes come up?
That's the only way. And if the codes come up, just like you mentioned, we would do our research. We have techs pretty much for every make and model, right? We'll do our research and kind of come to a conclusion about what it's going to cost to fix those problems. Because a lot of times the problems are not major. When it comes to the auction, a lot of people feel like the vehicles at the auction are no good. They were sent to the auction because the vehicles were no good. A lot of times dealers, they just have trade-ins and they just don't have the time to sell the vehicle to the public.
Okay.
So oftentimes, 80-90% of the time, the cars are in great condition. And a lot of times the seller, whoever decided to sell the vehicle at the auction, they simply just couldn't figure out the problem. And we're able to come in if problems exist, which we try to minimize. A lot of cars we get, 90% of the cars we get, they don't have any problems.
Really? They don't have any problems?
They don't have any problems. A lot of times they just require to be detailed and whatnot. So that's pretty much the process of elimination.
Well, let's talk about this though, because there's such things as cash cars, right?
Yeah,
Which are cars under a certain price point.
Yeah,
which have more problems than cars over a
Yeah,
certain price point. Talk
yeah.
about that a little bit.
Well, the thing about it is we actually try to stay away from cars at a certain price point. Anything under
Tell the viewers
anything
what
under $6,000-$7,000 we try to stay away from, because we all know you get what you pay for. The system has since changed. We got a little inflation that we've been dealing with. We're actually heading towards a recession. The price of everything has went up. So vehicles that were sold for $2,500, $3,000 at one time, the typical A to B car, those cars are now selling for $4,000 or $5,000.
Right.
So our goal is to make sure that we're offering quality and not quantity. Therefore, for the clients that have, a lot of clients we have that are expecting to purchase a cash car, a lot of times we kind of persuade them to use that money as a down payment and actually getting a car that may cost a few more dollars.
What's the dollar amount right now that classifies a car as a cash car?
Well, it varies. It varies on the dealer, because we've had people come and spend $12,000 cash on a vehicle.
But in general, we're talking about the cars that are cash cars that people normally may have a couple problems with. Is it $5,000, $6,000 and under?
About $4,000 or $5,000.
It's that basically it's the money that you get from your tax refund.
It's
the tax refund.
And those are the people we offer free consultation about a lot of different things. We always tell clients to invest in quality. Therefore, every tax season you're not buying a new car. Right?
Yeah, but everybody can't afford no $20,000 car.
Everybody can afford a $20,000 car, but you get what you pay for. And if you're depending on your car the same way you depend on your legs or your shoes, it's a smart decision to use that cash car money for a down payment.
But let me ask you this. If a person is putting $5,000 down, wouldn't they just go to a regular dealership? Wouldn't that make more sense? What was the reason to go to the auction?
Well, when you say a regular dealership, we are considered a regular dealership. Okay. We actually have better deals than a so-called regular dealership, because some of the bigger dealerships, they're not willing to take some of the risks that we would take for our private clients, right? So we can have access to the same exact vehicles that a dealership has. That a dealership offers. We offer the same exact warranties as well, So at this point, when it comes to auto brokers, like I tell people all the time, I'm the Amazon of auto dealers, right? At one time, a lot of people were afraid of Amazon. People didn't want to put their card on there. They wanted to see, they wanted to try on whatever they would purchase in advance. And people... our clients, they're able to realize that we're able to do the same thing. A lot of times we get calls from people at dealerships making us aware of what the dealership is presenting to them. And most of the time we're able to offer them a better deal.
What about in terms of financing? Because now you're talking about taking the $5,000 and putting it down. What type of financing are you able to offer as an auto broker?
We offer the same financing that dealerships offer. We work with the same banks. We can work with your personal bank. A lot of the times we suggest that clients go with whoever they're banking with, whether it be Delta Community, Navy Federal, USAA. Right. So we work with all of the same exact banks that dealerships work with.
But you also have...
We also have banks that we partner with as well. Right.
And is it true that some of these banks are strategic in being able to finance people with not so good credit?
Well, you have to be strategic, right? Because the credit-based system is based on you proving to somebody that you're willing to pay back money. So if your credit, just jump to the conclusion, speaking of someone that's credit challenged, in order for a bank or anybody to let, loan anyone some money, you will probably want a little bit more back, right? So that's just the typical credit system. So the banks that we work with, if you got great credit, they're going to give you the same interest rate that you would get from any other bank. So yes, banks are strategic about letting people borrow money. One of the things that I've noticed is a lot of the bigger dealerships, they really don't like working with some of the clients with lower credits because they become more of a risk, right?
Right, of course.
Yeah, so we're able to get people approved with no cosigner because of the personal connections I have, and that's one of the benefits of working with me in particular and some other dealers as well.
So let me ask you this. For a person, maybe a little 18-year-old, 21-year-old wanting to become an auto broker, wanting to get into buying and selling cars, what would you suggest they do? What are the steps, the first couple of steps they do?
I would suggest that they purchase some vehicles from private owners first.
Okay.
And just get involved in the business before you go, because it's a lot of money that's required on a monthly basis just to run the dealership, minus anything else, you know. So I would suggest that a person invest and go and purchase a car to, you know.
So you're saying get your 700 up, your 1500 up, your 2500 up. Talk to grandma. See if auntie got a friend who's selling her car for the low, and try to buy a car from a local person, family friend, or somebody at a discounted rate.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea, especially if you don't have any guidance.
Okay.
This business is no different than real estate. And if you get in a certain business with no guidance, with no direction, it's going to eat you alive. And you're going to take more losses than gains, right?
Okay.
So anybody that would like to get involved, I would suggest that you either try on a lower level or get involved with somebody that's offering some type of mentorship, some type of training to make sure that you know what you're doing.
Have you taken losses?
Yes, of course.
Okay. Tell the audience about a loss or two that you've taken. Let's go through the process, because we want to teach people what not to do as well.
Most definitely. You want to analyze the market. You know, different months, different times of the year, the market goes up and down. I've had a time when I purchased a ton of cars during the tax season in which the vehicles were priced a little bit higher because, you know, everyone had their tax money, and we had the vehicles a little bit longer than planned, so we had to sell them for less than what we projected. I've purchased a vehicle before, and it was an as-is vehicle. Transmission went out on it, you know. We purchased the vehicle taking into consideration that it was in good running condition, had to turn around and spend $2,500 to get the transmission rebuilt. So just knowing the market and knowing what you're buying, you know. A vehicle can look great, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's worth what you may pay for it at the auction or even from a private owner. So definitely make sure you incorporate the right people in your circle that can minimize all type of risks.
So let me ask you this: what about in terms of buying a car that has dents or dings or mismatched paint?
That's actually not a bad thing.
Okay.
Now again, we have a line of body and paint specialists. We have automotive auto techs on the team. We have a lot of different people to help us with those different discrepancies, right? So whenever we buy a car, the tires are not matching up, we're just gonna put a brand new set on it, you know.
Right.
The car needs to be painted. We got people that can take care of that as well.
So you're saying that one of the things you probably need to do is put together a network
Correct.
of people that maybe some mechanics, some auto body mechanics, you know, probably some tire shops, you know. What other people you should you have in your network?
You want to definitely have someone that's into financing.
Okay.
And someone that's good with administration work, because it's a lot of paperwork that comes with processing the deals before and after, right?
Okay.
So you definitely want to have some people that can help you with your bookkeeping. Just like any business, being an auto broker is just like any business. You want to make sure that you taking care of behind the scenes just as much as the front.
So Bruce, let's talk money now, right? Because most people want to get into this because of the profit margins. Or maybe there's a lack thereof, I don't know. How much on average do auto brokers make off of one car?
It varies. I would say on an average between $2,000 to $5,000, depending on the deal. You can imagine a vehicle that's, you know, $30,000, $40,000. The profit may be a little different than a vehicle that's $10,000.
Right. So we're basing this on a deal on a vehicle that's $10,000.
Yeah, I'm gonna say between $2,000 to $5,000.
Right. And is the profit margin different on a finance deal versus a cash deal?
It varies. On a cash deal, the profit is a one lump sum. In a finance deal, the profit comes from the different products.
Okay.
You know,
For example,
extended warranty,
Okay.
gap,
Okay.
Those are the two primary: extended warranties and gap.
So, on top of being able to make a profit off of the net, you could sell additional products and get a percentage of that as well.
Correct.
Okay. What about in terms of the finance? Do you could get a percentage from that in any kind of way?
Well, with the financing, you can, and we don't do that.
Okay.
But you can charge the client a higher interest rate.
Okay.
Right? But we don't do that.
Okay.
A lot of the new dealers do that. So that's one of the other perks of dealing with an auto broker.
Okay.
We're pretty much passing on the savings to you,
Right.
opposed to trying to get you for everything that you have.
Right. All right. So keeping it money talk, right? Tell the audience about floor plans, because I think for dealers, especially new dealers, right, that don't have major inventory, it's a great way to get inventory. Correct.
Correct. Floor plans are good ideas. If you don't have funds, if you have a lot.
Explain what a floor plan is.
Okay, I'm sorry. A floor plan is pretty much a line of credit that dealers can use to purchase inventory. A lot of the times, some dealers, they want to purchase 20, 30 cars at a time. We usually get about 5 or 10, because we're using our own capital. So with a floor plan, just like any other line of credit, you have to pay back more than what you borrowed. And sometimes that could hurt you because with floor plans, you have to pay, some floor plans offer the day-to-day option. Right. And some floor plans, they just offer a lump sum, one flat interest-based payment. Another thing, you have a deadline. So if you don't sell the car within a certain amount of time, you're going to be required to pay for the car in full.
30 to 45 days, something like that?
It varies, 30, 45, 60 days. It's all about the finance company.
Then you owe the full money back.
Then you owe the full amount. So we've had that happen to us once, and we've curated a way for that to never happen again. But we purchased a vehicle for a client. They had finance problems, and we didn't sell the car. It was a special vehicle. Actually, it was a Hummer. And we had to pay cash. We had to pay cash with interest for a vehicle that we sold it, but again, it's not a common vehicle. Right. So we had to kind of dig in our bag and reach out for some real special clients that were interested in a vehicle of that caliber. Right. But a Hummer, that's not the everyday vehicle that someone is looking for to get to work every day. Right.
So, man, today, man, you gave a lot of information, man. I think the viewers will be extremely happy. So tell the guys where they can find you at, man.
For the most part, we're on the internet via a simple Google search of the dealership is Brookhill Automotive Group. We're located in the heart of downtown Jonesboro. You can reach us directly at 770-266-5270.
And like me, it's super easy. It's Precise, precise, but no C. You could Google me, find me on all social platforms, and go to precise.biz and P6 Brand Agency. And remember, we have, the incredible Wealth to Wisdom super course coming up soon. So stay tuned, and I'll get back at you guys. Peace.